Hey everybody, Jen here. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm super stoked. I am riding the Yamaha TW200. That's right, this is the bike that I started off riding about 3 years ago, and I wanted to take it for a ride today. It's been a long time since I've been on this bike, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the bike and why I think it is the perfect beginner bike. So join me today, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It helps us out tremendously. Alright, I think I want to cover the specs of the bike before I forget them, because they're all in my head right now. So let's go ahead and rattle those off. The MSRP on this bike in 2020 brand new was $45.99, so out the door I paid a little over $5,000. Pretty low price for a bike, so that's one of the reasons I think it is an excellent beginner bike, because then you can decide if you really like to ride, and after you ride this thing I can't imagine you wouldn't. So anyways, there you have it, $45.99 MSRP. It is a 196cc air-cooled engine. It is carbureted. It weighs 178 pounds. It has a 31-inch seat height. All of these things lead to it being an excellent beginner bike. It's easy to work on. It has been reliable. I've had it for 3 years. I haven't done anything to this bike aside from adjust the chain a couple times and change the oil. So this is the original bike. I have, like I said, I have no modifications. I haven't added anything. I mean, I haven't even added a windshield, so, which is something I really should probably do. But anyways, so that's the TW200 for you. Very simple, very basic. You can see right here, there's nothing. I mean, it is about as basic as it gets. So pretty cool. Good place to start. Not a lot of stuff to break. So since we're starting out on the asphalt here, we'll go ahead and talk about riding the asphalt on the Yamaha TW200. It's a pretty smooth riding bike. I haven't changed out the tires on it. It has the stock tires on the bike, so they're very smooth. This is not a fast bike. You're lucky to pull 55 miles an hour on this bike. So do not purchase this bike if you're looking for something that goes fast. As a matter of fact, that is why I upgraded to the 2022 Royal Enfield Himalayan. I was riding this bike with D-Rock. He had and still has a Yamaha XT250, but he decided he wanted something faster to get us more places, further distances, whatnot. So he got a KLR 650, and that's when I decided, hey, you know what? This is not a fast enough bike. I'm not keeping pace with that KLR, so I went ahead and upgraded to the Royal Enfield Himalayan. But this TW200 is still an absolutely excellent bike, and I've got to say I prefer it off-road to the Himalayan just because of its low weight. I'm not so afraid to drop this bike because it's easy to pick it up. And if it lands on you, it doesn't hurt quite so bad. Man, I am not used to cruising on a bike without a windscreen. It is slightly windy today anyways, and I am really feeling it everywhere. But I am super happy that we're finally getting some nice riding weather in southern Utah. We don't have any rain or snow in the forecast, so that's pretty awesome. Alright, would you look at that? It's taken me a couple miles, but I have worked her up to 55 miles an hour. So, like I said, not a fast bike, folks. Oh well, we'll turn off on another road here pretty soon and you'll get to see where she shines. So aside from the price on this bike, one of the things that really drew me to it was the fat back tire. I'm going to show it to you when I get off the bike up here in a little bit. That sucker's got to be 4 inches wide. It is a big old fat tire, and I just thought, you know, that looks really stable, which is what I was looking for, because prior to 2020, prior to buying this bike, I had been a passenger on a motorcycle, I don't know, maybe less than a dozen times. I'd never really driven a motorcycle before, so any kind of riding was super intimidating to me. So this one looks and is very stable. I also liked the color that it came in. It's like this nice earthy tan color, so that's pretty sweet. Let's see what else attracted me to it. I mentioned the price. $45.99. That's doesn't get much cheaper than that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I had heard that they were used a lot in training schools to train people how to ride motorcycles, so I thought, oh, that's got to be a good sign, you know. They've got to be able to take a beating and stuff from students and get through that. So I guess those are probably all the reasons why I went with this bike initially. And like I said, it's been a while since I've been on this bike, so I couldn't really remember how comfortable it was or was not, and I actually expected it to be comparable to the Yamaha XT250. And if you've watched a lot of D-Rock and my other videos on that bike, you know that one of our biggest gripes is the seat on that bike. It's not comfortable at all. But what I am happily surprised to find today is this bike is a lot more comfortable than the XT250. It's probably because the seat's a little bit wider, and I do have a little like air inflatable cushion on the seat that has a little bit of air in it, but we have one of those on the XT250 as well. So yeah, I'm enjoying my ride so far. Aside from it being a little windy without a windscreen, I'm doing really great on the asphalt, but I am super stoked to get to the dirt. Right, here we go, onto the dirt. Yeah, so I think when I was riding this bike, I didn't even know about like the importance of standing up while off-roading on a motorcycle. So I think this might be the first time I have stood up on this bike. So I guess here's my impressions of that. I am hunched over quite a bit, so if I was going to be doing this a lot, I'd probably get me some extensions so that I wasn't so hunched over. But foot pegs are pretty comfortable. One thing I'm noticing out here that I didn't remember before is the bike is very low geared, which makes sense. I mean, it's not a lot of horsepower, but does have quite a bit of torque. So it'll get you up the hills slowly, but it'll get you there. I was cruising out here. I was in 5th gear at 35 miles an hour. So I don't know if that means anything to you. But yeah, here she goes on the dirt, performing well so far. We've got our hairpin turn up here, so we'll see if she kicks out or anything on that little turn. This is one of our favorite rides to do when we've just got an hour or two to kill. Alright, I've shifted her down in 2nd gear, because 1st gear in this bike is really slow. So alright, well, she handled that just fine. I remember taking this bike to Death Valley right after we first started riding, and we rode Titus Canyon, and I wasn't used to like shifting or anything yet, so I remember coming around a corner like that, and I had tried to shift down into 1st from 2nd, and I hit neutral, wrecked, going too slow. So, and then I remember the first major ride that D-Rock and I did on the XT250 and the TW200. It was a recommendation from a friend of his. It's a ride called Goat Springs, and man, this is it's a good thing I was on this bike, because if I would have been on the Himalayan or another bike that was heavier, that probably would have talked me right out of riding. So I did drop this bike a couple of times on that route, and you know, that route is still bad. D-Rock has ridden it since then on the XT250 since we've gained more experience, and it's still like a killer road. So it's not like that we were just inexperienced. It was a heck of a road. Drop the bike, you know. So yeah, had I been on a heavier bike and had to lift that up, I didn't even know how to lift a bike up. I was like lifting this bike up like it was a pedal bike. So because it's only 278 pounds, I could do that, barely, but I still could do it. I wouldn't be able to do that on the Himalayan at all. So something to think about when you're out there riding. Alright, I'm going to take this little side road right here. It doesn't go very far. I wanted to come down here a little ways, and I'll drop the bike and show you how I lift this thing up and how easy it is. Yeah, fun little bike for sure. So you've wrecked, you're out here all by yourself. Thank goodness you're on a Yamaha TW200. The form I like to use is backwards. Kind of place yourself on the seat there, grab in a couple places, start lifting. You just do it all with your legs. This one is absolutely no big deal. So I could do that all day long. It's like barely more than a squat. TW200 holds about 2 gallons. It's I think it's 1.8 gallons of gas. It has a reserve on it, so if you run out, you've still got a little bit to get you where you need to go. I have had to use the reserve before on that trip where we did Titus Canyon out in Death Valley. We were on the XT250 and the TW200, and I mean, I must have gone the limit because we topped off before we left. And I ran out about 10 miles from camp, so I had to switch to the reserve, which I was thankful I had. I think the bike gets a little over 70 miles a gallon, so I wouldn't really push it beyond about 120 miles. I think that's about the range. You know, conditions, of course, would be a factor in that. But yeah, so not super far. I don't know if I am going to add any mods to this bike. I kind of like just keeping it stock. But I guess if I did, maybe I would add some mounts for jerry cans to carry extra gas. You know, I'm not sure what the brake specs are on this bike, but I can tell you that it has decent brakes. Although pretty much every bike I've ridden, aside from the Himalayan, has some pretty decent rear brakes. The Himalayan struggles in that department. All right, let's have a look at the TW. There's our display, extremely simple. Speedometer, neutral indicator, bright light indicator, left, right. That's it. Doesn't get more basic than that. Come down here and you can see the petcock there. That's what I, had to use when I had to switch my fuel to reserve. Then we've got the choke right below that, which comes in real handy in cold weather conditions. Not right now. What else can I show you? I guess the only thing I've put on the bike right here is this little air cushion seat. But the seat itself is actually quite comfortable. It's wide enough, so that's really nice. Let's come back here and get a good look at that fat back tire, which is one of the selling points for me on the bike. That is a big tire. So yeah. Looking good, looking good. Oh, I just realized I lied. I did add one thing to the bike. These are Cherubus handguards here. They're really important to have when you're off-roading. So I've been sitting here this whole ride racking my brain on something negative to say about the TW200, and now I remember what it is. So we left this bike sitting for the majority of the winter. We were doing most of our riding on the XT250 and the Himalayan. And so I went to start it, and lo and behold, the battery is dead. So it does have a tender cable sticking out of it, so we tried to charge it up, and it started, and then it died, and yada yada yada. So we decided, hey, we should probably buy a new battery for the bike. So I sent my son over to Factory Power Sports to buy a new battery for the TW200, and he comes back with this battery kit, and it's got a battery in it, and it has like separate acid and directions on how to put acid in the battery. And I thought, oh my gosh, he got like the wrong thing. I've never seen anything like this. This is weird. So I called them and they said, oh no, that's just how the battery for the TW200 is. You have to add the acid yourself. So I cannot imagine why anybody would make something like that, how that could be like beneficial in any way. But that is a grievance for you when you have to replace the battery. Granted, Factory Power Sports did tell me, hey, bring it on over, we'll do it for you. We went ahead and did it ourselves, but but that was a little weird. Yep, I am finding it quite a bit more enjoyable to remain seated on this bike rather than stand up, and that's just because I'm a little tall for the bike. I am 5'8", so standing up on it for long periods of time without handlebar risers starts to cause a bit of discomfort. Lucky for me, this nice comfy seat is not so bad. Back to the asphalt. I think that's going to pretty much wrap up our ride today. I'm definitely going to be doing some more riding on the TW. I forgot how much fun this bike is. It's so agile and light. It feels like a little kid's bike, but it's not. This is a very serious bike. So anyways, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a summary. I haven't done hardly anything to this bike. I've had it for about 3 years. She's got about 2,800 miles on her. I did put the Precipice handguards on there, which I find very useful when we're cruising in the back roads and, you know, maybe running into some tree branches or whatnot. They keep your hands protected and a little bit warmer. Keeps them blocked from the breeze a little bit. I probably should do a windshield. Never did do a windshield, but after having windscreens on my other bikes, they are very, very handy. Go over the reasons I got the bike in the first place. It was not very expensive, about 4,800 bucks. The look of the bike looked very stable. It was a brand new rider at the time. Had that big back tire that just said, I'm gonna stay upright for you. So, and she does. I mean, it really performs. Doesn't go really fast. I think I've had it, I think I had it at just above 60 miles an hour at one point. Today I've just pushed it to about 55. Not super comfortable to stand up on this bike. I'm 5'8". I guess if you were about 5'5", it'd be about just right. But, you know, you can get some handlebar extensions and whatnot to put it up higher. So the bike is comfortable. I haven't had any butt pain today, which has been pretty nice. The bike is agile, it's very light. You saw me pick it up 2 or 3 times. I probably could have sat there and squatted up and down with this bike 20 times or so. It's no big deal at all. So it's totally fine to be off-road on this bike by yourself. It's also been very reliable. I've never tipped it over and not been able to get it started back up. So good bikes, these Yamaha TW200s. So I think that that just about does it for us. So I guess we'll see you next time. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It really helps us out. And check us out at precipiceofgrind.com as well. We are offering some guiding services that you might be interested in. We'd love to have you. So think about that, and we'll see you next time. Jen out.